Hey everyone, and I am back working on the BMW today. Public service announcement to anyone working on a BMW. Please be very patient when taking connectors off. You get too, how can I say this, rough with them. They get brittle and break. And number two, for any engine, when you are taking your intake off, cover your intake ports where your valves go, because debris will fall in there. Now, out of curiosity, I decided to stick a bore scope down the cylinders and see what's going on. They're all nice and clean. I'll attach a video just now with that I recorded. And then I decided to check the intake valves before I turned the engine over by hand, just to check nothing had fallen in there. And this is what I found. Everything from bugs to bits of carbon grease to even a nice little piece of plastic. So yeah, now to retrieve that I used some of the leftover grease I've got from the polyurethane bushes, that's the word I was looking for, and a cable tie. And all I do is just give a little dab there. As you see, it sticks really well, and then you stick it down the cylinder and boop, it grabs the debris. Now, obviously not a lot of people have access to a bore scope camera, but you can get them rather cheaply on eBay or Amazon for about £10–15. Plugs into your smartphone or into a tablet or laptop and problem solved. Now, I'm very glad I had this because I would not have seen that. So I'm going to just check I've got everything out of the valves, and then I will continue taking the rest of the spark plugs out and yeah, check those cylinders, and then eventually turn the engine over by hand to make sure it's all right. Mainly because if I haven't worked on the car, I'd like to go through it first and check that nothing's been done badly or missed. So to start off, I had a few earth straps that weren't connected. I got a bolt back here that's loose, things like that. Connectors that are push style connectors, not pull, so that's been snapped and broken. Yeah, just genuinely a few things like that. I'm actually going to take this rocker cover off. It was replaced by the previous owner, but I just want to go in and double check everything. Purely because I haven't put my hands on it, I don't want to take the risk of maybe finding some debris in the head and turning it over and having a problem. So I'll do that, but in the meantime, they're now debris free. Well, the plugs are out. 1, 5 and 6 were in tightly, as you'd expect them to be. 2, 3 were literally like finger tight, I could take them out. And 4, not what I consider tight enough. The others seem to be fine, except 4. 4 is a bit oily, so I need to check what's going on in cylinder number 4 and just check whether there's any excess oil in the cylinder. But other than that, it all seems straightforward enough. There's obviously a bit of oil in the spark plug hole, which would have been from the spark plugs, the gasket failing earlier, which the previous owner would have changed. But again, something I want to just go over myself and make sure that everything's been done correctly. And as you can see, I've managed to take the whole cover off. Now, I've turned it over by hand a few times because now the valves and everything are clear. You can see we've got some good oil pressure here because it's feeding through the head and dripping down where it should actually need to. The only thing I noticed is that obviously the intake cams weren't doing anything and they're all in a closed position. So it did make me think that there was something wrong with the timing chain. But there isn't. What it is, and it's the first time I've seen it, but because obviously I'm new to these N52 engines, is this little variable gear here that the Valvetronic motor sits on. It adjusts this little cam gear here, and then obviously adjusts the rockers, and then obviously varies the amount of intake. Yeah, so it essentially just smart VVTi Vanos thing that BMW does. I'm quite impressed by it, and not impressed by the sudden downpour rain. I'm not worried about it here right now, to be honest. I mean, a few drops of water on this is not going to hurt it, and this cloudburst will be over as soon as it started. See what I mean? Stopped. Typical British weather at the moment. The rest of the engine actually doesn't look bad as well. I mean, there's no sludge or anything. I mean, there's a bit of dirt here, but I don't know whether that's just from it being exposed. Oh, that's the next downpour. Oh, I'm going to just lower the hood a bit. There we go. Rest it on my head. That way I can stop the rain from getting in now. I need a garage that I can fit my cars in. Anyway, but yeah, this is all looking quite good. Well, I put my mind at ease. I am going to put this all back together and pop the cover on. I'm rather relieved that there is no timing chain problem, because I was very, very worried about that, because I did not see the intake valves move when I was turning it over, obviously when the cover was on, so that led me to take it off. The guide and everything looks good. There's no slop on the chain, so it obviously means that the tension is working as it should. Obviously we've got good oil pressure, because turning it by hand we're getting the oil coming through to the head. So yeah. Oh, there we go. And our little rain shower's gone again. So yeah, I'm going to button this all back up, and we'll go from there, and we'll try put the whole thing back together. And that's a small diesel valve out. I'm not sure whether you're supposed to be able to move these or not, but it's pretty solidly open. I assume it's supposed to be like that and not movable. So yeah, let's go pop the new one in. Relatively straightforward. Tighten the bolts up from the other side. Just from there. 1, 2, and 3. Right back there. Well, I've been stopped midway through my tracks. I have obviously started putting the crankcase ventilation system back in place with the various pipes, etc, etc, as it all goes. I've got a few in the engine bay sorted. I am, however, missing the screws for the big diesel valve, as well as all the bolts and nuts that will hold the intake manifold in place. Unfortunately, they did not come in the box of parts, so yeah. Fortunately, I do have the bolts for the intake, and I do have the new gaskets for the intake manifold. But once again, I am halted in my progress for want of parts, which is fun. So I'm probably gonna continue the video here, or end it, or continue it. I'll continue it. I think it's been a bit short. I haven't got that much progress or that much stuff done, but I have. I've got the majority of the engine bay all put back together. I do need to sort out that broken connector with this replacement wiring harness that I've got. You know, earlier I was talking about connectors being bad because they get a little wrenched on too hard. So I bought this whole wiring loom for, now I can't find it, a connector. this little guy here, all by its lonesome. This unfortunately snapped with the wiring loom that's on the car. So, this is getting precarious. Oh goodness, there we go. I've been cleaning and organizing the garage because I've been trying to find those brake lines for the Supra, and I still can't find them. So I've still got more cleaning and organizing to do. I don't want to have to go ahead and buy them, because guaranteed as I buy them, I'll find them like the day before they arrive, or a few days after the other ones have arrived. It's just my luck. So I'm going to just soldier on and keep looking for them, and hope I find them. I mean, they've got to be in this garage here somewhere. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and pick this up when I got more parts. All ready to get packed away. Spark plugs and coils are in, stop water from there. The cowl's in place, and that's all masked up to stop any debris from getting in. So that's how you store your engine if you don't have the intake on, people. Right, progress made. The new Bilstein shock and Eibach spring all in place. Interestingly enough, so there's this securing bolt here, because obviously the entire shock absorber fits in place here. And these securing bolts decided to pretty much seize themselves in place. As you can see, I've had to drill. Focus? No. Sort of, you can see. Drill down the center of it, so it could actually heat up. And then this one, however, I eventually managed to get out just by hammering it. You can see the end. It does not want to focus. Well, it'll eventually focus. There we go. You can see I've just had a hammer on it, and yeah, so obviously I'm not going to be using those two bolts, so I've got to get new ones, so that's going to hold me up. I've managed to get a few things done off camera. Actually quite a few large things. I've still got a few more things to do, but let's get into that. Right, so I've gone ahead and replaced some plastics, wipers, the air filter. Those are of course brand new shocks, paired with the Eibach lowering springs. I have already put them on the car. That was a huge pain in the butt on its own. Excuse the wind noise, it's very windy today, so if you can't hear me all that well, that's why. So, there we go. Brand new spring shocks, as well as bump stops and covers as well. All bolted in with new bolts. So yeah, that's the result there. I have also given the car a wash, put the boot spoiler in place, changed the hinge out, replaced the boot latch. As you can see, it now works. Again, I have to apologize for the wind noise. I mean, yeah, it's very windy. Hi. So that was interesting, because I had to essentially drill out that entire little enclosure. The button itself. The original has, as you know, a metal ring. It's aluminium. So again, it is also oxidized and essentially welded itself to the actual shaft that holds the whole wiper assembly arm. So I had to essentially drill holes around that to eventually weaken the integrity of it, so it would eventually come off. But it is now off, and obviously the new one's in place, the plastic one. So it's not going to get stuck in place again, which is fantastic news. The engine. Now we come to that. Because obviously where we left off, it didn't have an intake or anything. So I'm going to brave the wind again, and bear with me if you can't hear anything. But do you remember me talking about that little wire connector on the harness that I had to buy a whole harness for one connector. So that little connector, which I didn't know what it was because I couldn't see it or where it went, that little connector is actually the crank position sensor, and it sits on the block underneath the starter motor, out of your line of sight, essentially under the entire intake once you've taken or put the entire intake back in place. Ask me how I know this. So yeah, that was horrible. Horrible to say the least, because I didn't feel like taking the intake off. So what did I go ahead and do? I battled on, and yeah. Well, mainly because the crankcase ventilation system is also horrible to get on and off in that N52. I have no idea why it's so bad. I mean, the M52 that I had in my 323 CI, the crankcase ventilation, that so easy to change, so easy. I have no idea why they had to engineer this one just so badly, but they did, and they just made it so much worse. So yeah, let's go brave the wind, and best of luck to you guys. And here we go. That is a fully put together engine. Covers intake the lot. So yeah, obviously I've done quite a lot off camera. I've already replaced the cabin air filter, new wipers, etc. like that. As you can see, there's the new big diesel valve up there. So essentially the crankcase position sensor, in order to get to it, I have to take, with not removing the intake, you have to take this box out, move the power steering reservoir, take all these pipes out here, and then you can kind of get round and behind it there and barely reach it with like 2 fingers. So yeah, it took a long while. It was horrible, but it is in, and now the car does not throw any more error codes. So yeah, I don't know if you guys want to see what it's like, but on camera, this will be our first official start. Now I hope this isn't going to go terribly, because I have left the car connected to its battery for the entire week, because I wanted to do an endurance test to see whether this battery would run itself dead while the car sits here, essentially like it should any other day, with everything all connected like it should. So, key, in it goes. Key battery's a little low, I expect that. Oh, before I get copyrighted. Right, clutch. Do we start? Oh, there we go. I still haven't set the time, but yeah. That is one fully running N52. Now, I'm quite happy. Obviously, I've started the car about a few times just to obviously make sure everything works and nothing's catastrophically wrong. But yeah, it idles smoothly, it gets up to temperature, there's no weird smells or knocks or anything of those sorts going on. So it's also very quiet in here compared to inside the 320d BMW, because that M47 diesel makes quite a bit more noise than this, obviously, like petrol powered inline 6. So yeah, it's already a nicer place to be while the car runs. So let's go have a look at the engine quick. And there she goes, just ticking along nice and quietly. No weird noises, no weird anything really. Personally, I'm very excited with that. Just knowing that the engine's good. That was always just a big worry for me. Like, obviously the previous owner said the engine ran well and all that kind of stuff, which, again, very genuine guy. I mean, he was very straight honest with everything that happened in the car. I mean, obviously there were a few things that he couldn't control, things like plastic connectors being brittle and everything like that. But yeah, just, it is such a relief to know that this car doesn't have anything catastrophically wrong with the engine. I mean, look at this right now, it's just lowered it and just cruising at a nice, what would you call that, 550 RPM? Just absolutely quiet. It's amazing. Really, really nice. So maybe this car goes for an MOT this week now. To be honest, all I need to do now is do the oil change. So I just want to warm this engine up a little. Change oil filter. I've got a new fuel filter as well, because I don't know when that was ever done on the car. And obviously I want to put some miles on this thing, and I want it to be reliable. So I want to know that there's going to be no weird gunk or something going into the fuel system, because I don't want to have to pull that apart. So fresh filter as well. And then I'm going to do a bit of restoration work on the interior. I've got some leather cleaner and stuff like that. I want to, you know, just clean it out and get it all ready for my use. So yeah, I honestly just, I'm so happy. Yeah, I honestly don't know what else to say. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm happy rambling, because it's so great to know that this car actually runs well. Alright, I'm gonna stop rambling now, and let's go do this oil change. Let's get this fuel filter changed. And let's go from there, because, man, it's just, woo! Progress, man. 500-pound BMW. Yes! Oh, I still need to change the rear springs. I will have a look at them once I've lowered the front down. I'll get the rear jacked up and have a look at them, see what kind of condition they're in, etc. If they're good, I think I'm gonna leave them in for a little while. Just purely because, like, my ass is just being kicked from having to do this BMW as well as the Supra. I don't know if you can see it. There you go, the Supra as well. So just doing both these cars, as well as just a general service on, like, Catherine's BMW and stuff, it's absolutely kicking my ass. So if I don't need to change these springs right now, I don't think I want to. In all honesty, I'll probably need to, because I need to get the right height situated to match the front, and so I can get a proper four-wheel alignment done on the car, so it's actually, you know, properly set up and it'll drive like it's supposed to. So I probably need to do that as well. I mean, it's really not a big thing changing the springs on them. I've done it on my 320D. So I mean, I say this, but you know, you look at everything through rose-tinted glasses once you've done it before. You kind of forget the hard part of getting it all done. So, yeah. Well, that's life. Right. Turn this car off. Let's get the oil changed. Let's go get done. Can I say that? I'm gonna have to beep that now.